Alrighty. Oof. Hasn't been as long as I thought it would be between videos, but welcome back to the campfire, friends. I guess. Pull up a snack, pull up a chair, smoke 'em if you got 'em, and we'll get on to the topic of today's discussion. So, today's discussion is one that really bugs me quite a lot. It's it's a thing called imposter syndrome. Now, I personally think I've got a fair bit of it. I hang out with a lot of really cool people. I hang out with a lot of really cool cats. Mm. Oh yeah, it's honey. This is honey toast and butter. If you're curious. Um, Basically, a friend of mine once gave me an anecdotal story. Basically, it is a bit chilly. Give me a minute. I need to turn the central heating on in this house once in a while. He told me that to be alternative is to be an alien in most crowds. To be the one that people don't enjoy talking to about normal things, quote unquote, who will never fully fit in with the group. Admittedly, that's true. That's true. It's true. People like me will never stand in line, and I stand out because it's hard. Not I stand out because it's right, not because it's easy. If that makes any sense. And yeah, they told me that people like us will always stand out. Will always be the hesitant aliens in the crew. The Sorry about that. The phone's gone off in the distance. It's distracting me. Anyway, that is really bugging the hell out of me. Why do they keep ringing us every 5 minutes? Um. Anyway, it's beside the point. So you mentioned that quite often people like us, people like me, people like my friends, we tend to stand out and we tend to have the what's referred to as hesitant alien syndrome. Now, I can only describe hesitant alien syndrome as somebody from the 23rd millennium or 24th millennium walking around in, let's say, 18th, the 18th, somebody from, let's say, the 23rd century walking around in the 18th century. They'll get looked at, they'll get discrimination, they'll get hatred. Hell, some people may even try to be violent towards them. But the problem spans not from that, it's more from the fact that they will never have any friends properly in those situations, in those societies themselves. Now, let me give you a case in point these days. Let's say you're gothic or you're an alternative person. You're alt, you hang out with the alt people, the cool people, quote, the cool people in my opinion. You hang out with the people who stand out, who don't conform, who do as they choose to do. They're not hurting anybody, but society has some reason decided to label them as freaks and weirdos, etc., etc. You'll find society's cruelties are never justified. It's always they'll say people are scared of change, or people could adopt change into their lives and be less scared of it. Or, admittedly, I'm coming at this from a very pessimistic point of view. A very pessimistic viewpoint. I really like my fan, it's very nice. Really good for keeping me oxygenated, as they say. Anyway, so, let's say you're a gothic person walking down the street, and you walk into a normal bar, as you do. You're looking to have some little refreshment. Let's say a pint of something, like a pint of Coke, or even like a pint of local beverage, local. Let's say in this case, a pint of local lager or something. And walk up to the bar, normal, as always. Normally doing what you'd normally do in a bar like this, and you just walk up, ask for a drink, barmaid gets you a drink, boom, 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 boom. You're walking over to the table, some old man looks at you and says, "Oh, well, they take all kinds in here, don't they?" Like, that's supposed to mean anything. I'm trying not to swear during this video because I really want to get monetized, and I really want to say exactly what I think and have the younger generation say it as well, without a massive limitation on the amount of views I'm gonna have. I'm learning the game on that front. Let's just say. So basically, we get called the worst names under the sun. There's some I won't say because I'm desperately trying to get monetized on here, and on the YouTube's quote unquote. I want to get monetized at some point, and I doubt it's gonna happen, but it might do if I'm careful and I play the game, play it by the rules, quote unquote. But a lot of the opinions I have are very alternative. For example, I'm a staunch believer in it, staunch advocate for bodily autonomy. I'm a staunch advocate for woman's body, woman's choice. If a woman has, let's say, somebody commits a crime against a woman that results in a potential pregnancy, you know the one I mean, and I'm not mentioning it, but they have that happen to them, and then they have to go through the rigmarole of getting that quote unquote dealt with in a case of a medical, let's say, termination or something like that. But so basically, there's some people that see their own way of life as the only way to live. They'll say, "Oh, you should have been more careful," without saying to the guy he should have had more physical discipline. Oh, this girl walks down the street in gothic clothing, I'm gonna try my luck. Not looking at her finger, noting that she's married already. Or like not looking at her finger and saying that, like, I mean, I heard a horror story, right? It was from Download a few years ago. There were some guys going around the park trying to put their hands up girls' skirts. Why, you ask? One, because they were creepy as hell about it. I mean, I'm plenty way through the video to use at least the HE double hockey sticks as the quote unquote. But two, and this part might sicken you guys a little bit, but they were trying to see if these girls were virgins or not. I wish I was kidding. These guys were checking these girls, and I'm wondering, how did they do that? Like, I mean, do I even want to know? Like, what did I, like, full blown inserting and, like, checking to see if the hymen's still intact or something? Like, what the hell, guys? Ew. It's gross, guy. And it's, like, grotesque sexual assault, but, am I not even allowed to say that word on the internet nowadays? I don't care. At this point, if I'm monetized, I'm monetized, and if I'm not, I'm not. Basically, these guys saw what they were doing as normal. They saw their sense of superiority they had over these girls as normal. Why? Well, because they'd always been told that going after the girls who are different, who stand out, is the normal thing to do, quote unquote. But basically, that leads back to my original topic, which is these girls feel like hesitant aliens in their own world because these men have done these terrible things to them. And then, let's say if they're not financially well off. Let's say if they're not capable of, don't have access to anywhere in particular they can go. I mean, they roll into a clinic with their friend, and the nurse or doctor has a scout over them, says, yeah, we can easily help out with this, but it may cost a said amount of money to get it done properly, or if you want to be on a waiting list, it's going to be free. But if you're on a waiting list for something like that, what's going to happen? You've all done your birds and your bees, right? You know what happens. Mommy and daddy, or man and woman, partner and partner meet one another. They love each other very much. 9 months later, baby pops out, etc., etc., etc. What if the girl doesn't want that? What if the girl has this pushed on her in the most illicit of manners possible, and the guy's like, oh, well, this girl was looking so erotic and like so completely attractive to me that I completely forgot my sensibilities and decided to, like, have my way with her. He'll just define it that way. And honestly, a lot of men get away with it. And a lot of young girls can't have no recourse to it, meaning 9 months later, a lot of young girls give birth to unwanted babies, unwanted children. And that leads them to feeling even more alienated, which leads to more, which leads to, at best, my horrible depression, and at worst, self-unaliving, as the phrase goes. I hate that word, but I'm not allowed to use the actual one if I want to actually get monetized today. Point being is that a lot of these groups of people, these alienated groups, the world has been told it is normal to pick on, bully, harass, and it's ridiculous if you ask me, because these groups have done nothing wrong. They've stood out, yeah. They've stood out, they've done what they believe to be right, and the world has judged them for it. They've stood out, they've been who they truly are themselves. Like, let me make another case in point. There's a bunch of YouTubers I watch who've gone through this problem, and I can name a few if I want. Name drop for if they are watching this, which I very much doubt they ever will, even if I post it. There's a few I'm watching. One of them's a really nice South American, I think she's South American trans woman called Chunky Lotus. She's amazing. Go and give her stuff a check out and tell her I sent you. But and then there's the one that I was watching recently. It's a British trans woman named Macari. Why did I say MacArthur? Macari. yeah, they do like reaction content and gaming content, etc., etc. And they are so much. They're both amazing people who I've spoken to and want to get to know even more eventually. Not through their communities, but what you gotta say is that, I mean, that's a case in point for outcasted communities, is it not? The trans community is so thoroughly outcasted by most of quote unquote normal society that it's actually cliche nowadays. So, where am I going with this, you ask? Where am I going with this? The point is, outcasted communities will always have hesitant alien syndrome. Will always be the socially outcasted, the hesitant aliens, the people who suffer from immense imposter syndrome when surrounded by quote unquote normal people. That's my point. Is that will always be people like me and people like my friends, people like Chunky, people like Makari, people like a group, the entire LGBT, for example, will outside of LGBT circles be considered quote unquote freaks, perverts, and lunatics, quote unquote, by this perceived normality that the rest of the world is trying to force on us. I mean, I'm actively in the LGBT. And I actively, for the record, do a lot of things involved with the LGBT, the community side, the advertising side, etc., etc. I support the cause because it's a cause I believe in. And there'll be people out there that'll judge me for it. A lot of people, in fact. Older generation, predominantly, are quite bad for this. But there are some among them that are good. I know a few older lasses that go to a certain bar that I go to, which, if you live in the northeast, you know, northeast of England, you know exactly what I mean. Best bar in the country, just saying. So anyway, that's besides the point. Point I'm going to conclude this one on is, if you see somebody you don't like the look of, see somebody who's alternative, you see somebody who is standing out and not harming anybody, do us and them the biggest favour you can and leave them alone. Let them be. If you can pass comment in a good way towards them and say they look cool and like their clothing looks awesome, it will really make their day. And make their day slightly less terrible, you know? And all for the cost of you looking slightly less normal. So, I'm just going to say to all the people out there who would force normality on people and think, oh, we're not going to say this nice thing about somebody because they look not normal. Just one thing I say to you, suck it up, buttercup. The world isn't just going to stand in line and be what you want it to be because you want it to be that. So to us, the gothic and the alternative and the rocker community, and the alternative, geeky, nerdy, otaku, etc., communities, a favour, and you don't have anything nice to say. Silence is golden, my friend. Anyway, so I'm planning on making more videos like this over the next 2 weeks, and if anyone watches them, then that's cool. Might get some extra views, I don't know. Doubt it, but I enter in the YouTube game to make money, so I'm only in it to get my perspectives across. So, put in the comments what you want to see next. Any topics you want to discuss, any points you'd like to go across with me. I can go across many points, many perspectives, music, anime. I am actually planning on my next video being related to a anime I'm watching at the moment called Dandaran. It's so good. It's so good. Just saying. I'm not gonna spoil for anyone who hasn't watched it, so it'll be a spoiler free. Or I'm gonna have to write a script for spoiler free. So like a spoiler free explanation of the universe, or we can have a spoilerific one, which is going to be me pointing my perspectives, my opinions on the ships, the creatures, the characters, etc., etc., etc. I'm probably going to do the spoilerific one because it's way more fun to do. Well, until then, my friends, in the words of a wise man, in the words of the wise Papa Amicius IV, be kind to each other, look out for each other. If somebody needs help, you help that person. Vamonos. Later, kill cats. Oh, shout out to Ali, by the way. She's amazing. Go check out Escape Reality. And I love girls like that. They're so awesome to hang out with IRL. If you can get you a girl that's that cool and that sort of witchy paganistic vibe, you get it. And send a couple my way. I'm kidding. I don't really need any more witchy friends. I got tons of them. Anyway, till next time, comrades.